What is going on, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in. We are back with another edition of the Passion and Precision podcast, where got my co-host here, Jory. I believe the third member, Bella, is in the vicinity, but
She's right here.
okay. So she might make an appearance, or she might give her opinion on some of the topics. You never know. But before getting into everything, Jory, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Okay.
Got a lot to talk about. There's some people that have made me mad this week. Oh,
Yes.
every week somebody does something to tick me off.
Well, hey, that's why we introduced the new segment last week. Well, not last week, like was it earlier this week on Monday. Final burn, like that's for. We get to kind of go at those people, whether it's athletes, like analysts, personalities that just get us going. But before we even get to that, we do have to talk some NBA because you have your second edition of our basketball tier list, and I do have the first one up, so we can kind of look back at the inaugural one, the initial one. So here we go. So according to our initial rankings, we had the Celtics and the Thunder on their own tier, and then Smoldering Hopefuls was our teams that are probably playoff teams, right things break their way, could make a finals run. Lakers, Rockets, Bucks, Grizzlies, Cavs, Knicks, all the way down. Lukewarm are kind of your playing fringe playoff teams that don't would probably be shocked if they made the finals, whether it's roster construction, injuries, just not meshing well. Like that's that line. Then extinguished dreams are the teams that we have no real hopes of them winning a title, barely have hopes of them being a playoff team. Maybe they sneak in as a playing team, but they really won't do anything with that opportunity. So, giving you guys kind of the outlook of the initial one, here is now our updated basketball tier list. So, as you can see, the movement, the Cavs, we talked about them in the last one. We weren't fully going to buy in on them. We moved them up to the tier with the Celtics and the Thunder. So now we think the Cavs are legit contenders. Like they've been playing well enough over a long enough stretch that you got to give them their credit for that. Um, so like I said, the other groups, you guys know like what they're all about. So I guess is there a couple of teams I want to touch on because, like I said, the Cavaliers moved up a group. We also had
Mm-hmm.
somebody else moved too. Sixers moved.
The 76ers moved
Yes,
down.
and we have a couple of teams that we're watching that could be moving on our next edition. So I guess are there any teams like you want to highlight and speak on?
Mm. One, the Pistons. They're impressing
Yeah.
me right now. They really are. And for them to be such a young team, they have a coach that knows how to develop talent
Mm-hmm.
clearly. And we're finally seeing some type of development and some type of cohesion, some type of
Yep.
direction. For too long, the Pistons have been a bunch of talent, a whole bunch of picks with no direction, and just run around and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you start to put an actual team together.
Yeah.
So, granted, I'd be on the lookout if they keep winning, or if they lose like barely. They keep
Mm-hmm.
playing well. They could move.
Right.
The Warriors. They just won a nail biter versus the Timberwolves, but I'm also impressed with how they've been playing as well. Steph Curry's comments about not making a drastic change, I literally read that as leave Jonathan Kaminga alone.
Yes. I mean, do you agree that it would be smart for them to kind of stay pat?
Stay the
Yes.
pack. Like you have the talent to remain competitive even in the absence of Draymond and
Hmm.
Steph.
Yeah.
You have Kaminga. Moses Moody still there, right?
Yes.
Is Podzemski still
Yep.
there? They have more
Hmm.
years. And the fact that these pieces are learning around with the veterans, which is also I'm proud of with my Lakers finally making good lineups. Max Christie is really impressing me right now. He's finally in developing.
Okay.
Finally. But that's because he has LeBron and AD to help him come along
Hmm.
back to the Warriors. But they're impressing me right now. So they keep on. And Steph Curry is Steph Curry.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you.
They can do it.
Because I do think with them, there's probably I feel like there's probably pressure not only from within the team but outside the team to want to make some drastic change because whenever you have a bona fide star like Steph Curry that's getting up there in age, there's always this pressure to have to extend their championship window and like who cares about young players? Just get a bunch of vets in to try to win one. So I commend Steph for saying that. Whether or not he believes in that, we'll have to see. But at least for an outward message, I thought it was right to say like, let's just stay the course, let these young guys develop, and let's see if we just get into the playoffs, maybe we could do something.
Mm-hmm. Um, Another one I wanted to discuss a little
Hmm.
real quick. The Spurs.
Okay,
They're coming into their own. I still don't like Sochan. I'm gonna make that clear. I still don't like him.
fair.
But Chris Paul, one thing I will say that gets on my nerve when I watch Spurs
Hmm.
basketball. Chris Paul, stop teaching Wimby your bad habits. Stop it. Wimby is too freaking tall to be flopping around like that. Too tall.
Yeah.
7'5", trying to put an acting job. Dude, that's a long way to the floor. I suggest you stay upright as long as
Hmm.
you can. Like, stop doing that. But Chris Paul is exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
But they're coming into their own. They could move up as well. They keep playing like this. And there's a couple teams that I feel like are on thin ice,
Okay.
meaning they could end up moving down, like the Timberwolves. They're so Jekyll and Hyde-ish, and the chemistry is just
Hmm.
off that I can't trust them to continue to play well. I don't trust them. And then they have times where they just look completely out phased, where it's Anthony Edwards and nobody else. I know Rudy Gobert is who he is, but he's good for an occasional double
Hmm.
double, and it's happening more often now. I will
Hmm.
notice that. Give it what it means. But Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo has completely sucked the air out of this team. Why did they make that trade? I get trying to lighten
Yeah.
some of the money load. At the same time, for Randall,
Yeah. I mean, look, neither of us are big, Julius Randle people, and so because of that, it's so easy when you see them struggling to obviously look at Randall for Cat and seeing what Cat's doing in New York. Like the production just isn't even on the same level. But even if they had Cat, like they would have needed Anthony Edwards to kind of step up and do more if they were going to, I guess, get back to where they wanted to be. Be in contention for like the Western Conference Finals, and if they could make the finals. it's all going to hinge on Anthony Edwards, whether Cat's there or not. He's going to have to be the one who gets Randall to play better. He's going to get the team to be more consistent. That means expanding his game. He can't just be a slasher finisher at the rim. He can shoot the occasional three. Like he's going to have to get more into his playmaking bag, assists, and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, we're half the way
Mm-hmm.
through the season. Like if he's going to make that change and switch it on, like he kind of has to do it now.
Now,
Yeah.
and the Suns. Was for.
Yeah, Suns are just frustrating because like we all knew when they
What?
made the moves to get those three there, it wasn't gonna work. But they tried to convince everybody it was gonna work, and now into year two, it's not working. Still isn't working, and they're kind of locked in with what they have unless they get to move Bradley Beal. But if you're another team and you're bringing in Bradley Beal, what's your motivation to do so?
I mean, if they really were desperate, and if Jimmy Butler causes a stink up enough in Miami, you could trade for Jimmy Butler. But at the same time, that's another body that requires the ball.
Yes,
Our co-host decided to make her
I see.
appearance.
What's going on, Bella? But it's just like if you swapped
Um,
out Jimmy Butler for Bradley Beal, are they that much better? Exactly.
no,
But I mean, if that's a move just to kind of get both guys out of where they are, you know, give them the opportunity for a new locker room and everything, and see if that gets them going. Sure, I guess.
but is it going to make sense?
Exactly.
No. But is it something that the Phoenix Suns would actually do? Yes, because nothing the Suns do makes sense.
Very true. Yes. Okay. Um. I mean,
Money, and 2 years later he's
mhm.
on the bench.
Trying to see. Is any other team we kind of need to touch on? Hmm. I think he hit on all the kind of teams on the fringe, I guess. Clippers.
But Dallas is suffering with no Luca, but that's why you have Kyrie, and he's not necessarily shooting
Right.
well consistently.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them on what ESPN or TNT the other day, and yes, they didn't have Luca. Understand Luca's a big part of what they do offensively, but they just look like a completely different team. I mean, to cross over into
Mm-hmm.
sports, like they look like the Dolphins without Tua. Like they just don't know what they're doing.
They forget how to play
Yeah, it's like
basketball,
they're guessing.
and I'm not blaming Kid on
No,
that,
yeah,
because Kid knows how
yeah,
to coach.
but it's just like
Jason Kidd is the coach, right?
yes, but it's just like they're guessing on lineup combinations. Because for him, he's probably just trying to throw guys out there to get a group that knows how to play together, can consistently score, or at least you know run a semblance of the offense without Luca. Which you figure without Luca, since Luca is very ball dominant and everything, that these guys would take this opportunity to go out there and get theirs and and do all that. But it's been somewhat of a struggle without Luca. So for them, they kind of had to kind of tread water until Luca comes back and then see if they can take off. Because Klay Thompson has been a disaster.
Hot and cold.
Yes. So if he thought he was going to prove something to
He
Golden
plays
State,
well versus the
yeah, if he
Warriors.
thought he was going to prove something to Golden State by Golden State moving on from him, he kind of just proved why they made the decision that they did.
Moved on
Yeah.
from.
Trying to see whether team could be whether team could be somewhat of a discussion topic here.
I will say the Brooklyn Nets are better than the Wizards. Actually, no, the
Better than
Wizards are
Brooklyn
better
Nets.
than the Nets. That's the one team that's
That you could probably say is at a
yeah.
worse off position than Washington, as crazy as that might
hmm
sound.
And the thing is, I don't watch Brooklyn basketball like that for a
Hmm.
reason. But the sheer fact that they had 35 points in 3 quarters, three
Hmm.
quarters, 35
Hmm.
points. What?
Yeah. I mean, look, it happens. It seems like every few years, random night, you'll see a score like that. But even then, like when you see it, when you're watching it or you're kind of following it along a little bit with the game, it's just like in an era where people say, 3-point shots a problem, nobody plays defense. It's kind of hard to think of nobody's playing defense that you could find yourselves down like 50, 60 points in an NBA game. That's crazy to me. I don't get how it happens, but I guess some nights just aren't your night.
Yeah, a lot of their nights aren't their
That's
nights.
also very true. Yeah.
Milwaukee, man, they might be there for the rest of the season.
True.
I do see that they got better after they benched Chris
Hmm.
Middleton.
Which I guess shout out to him for being a pro and not really causing a stir. Could be that it's just because it just happened. Maybe he's fine with it, but if it becomes an extended stay on the bench, how would he feel about that? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if Middleton comes across as a guy who would, you know, cause some controversy or anything like that.
And when I watched the Pelicans, I did, man,
What's going on, Anthony?
I wouldn't mind that. I almost put the 76ers down there.
I mean, we limited it to four categories. I guess if there's enough of a separation, maybe we add a fifth one. I don't know, but for what it is right now, yes, we'll put them on the fourth level.
Um, the Pelicans. The more and more they start playing without Zion, and the better they start playing together without Zion, the more that team becomes the Dejounte Murrays and Trey Murphy the third.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, Zion done messed up. He due to his lack of ability, and that's his
Yeah,
fault.
yeah, he can't blame anybody.
He, but the fact that he had the god dang on audacity to reiterate that he wants to be traded, he's not doing this and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, um, if I was Pat Riley, and I know Pat
Hmm.
Riley old people can be very petty.
Yeah,
If you do something else or say something else crazy, that's another reason for me to suspend him for another few games. I'd actually let it sit till January 30 something. Trade deadline is February
yeah,
6th. Suspend him on the 31st for 7 games. And then trade him to Charlotte.
could do that. Yeah,
Brown, and they will never know peace.
yeah, because now it's like I think they're what 8-2 with Doug Christie. So now it's like every time that they're playing, the conversation has to revolve around what is Christie doing differently than Mike Brown and all this kind of stuff. It could very well be Christie's doing nothing different than Mike Brown. It's just that maybe the players tuned out Mike Brown, whatever. I don't know. Like I don't want to sit here and just like trash Mike Brown. Like he had his time in Cleveland, but he kind of was a little bit of a scapegoat. But you have LeBron there and all the expectations, whatever. He goes to Golden State. He was an assistant on those teams that won. I think he won a title or two while he was there. So you figure he
Mm-hmm.
learned something. He also came from Popovich's system with San Antonio. So I feel like he is a good coach, but maybe he has some Nate McMillan in him, where like Nate McMillan goes somewhere, they kind of do really well the first couple of years, and then it almost seems like they overstay their welcome like year 3 or 4, and then they're gone. It may that's what Mike Brown is.
And he coached them hard.
That's also yeah. And not every athlete today wants that.
Some of these players are
Yeah.
soft and they can't take hard
Yeah.
coaching.
So
Now,
we gotta hope the next team that he pops up on, I guess, is the right one for him. I don't know where that would be. I don't know. I mean, oh, say it again.
because somebody's
Mm-hmm.
going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Popovich in San Antonio. He's not going to be there forever. If Mike Brown's available, they'll make the connections and say Mike Brown's familiar with it. Maybe that's a spot for him. Who knows? Mm, okay.
It's too early to tell. I haven't seen anybody just flat out quit yet,
Yeah.
other than the Kings.
Well, I mean, it looked like, yes, I guess they quit on Mike Brown, but they seem like they're rejuvenated under Doug Christie.
For
Right.
now.
There's obviously the honeymoon period with the new interim coach coming in. Yeah, we'll see if these players uh, sink back into their old habits, which led to them losing a lot earlier on. Or if this was the change they needed, then sure. Good luck to Doug Christie. Only have hope for Dallas in
Be
that row. I mean, I guess. Like Dallas is there because of no Luka. If Luka comes back, maybe. Like San Antonio just seems like not their time yet. Clippers, I can't buy into the Clippers yet. Golden State,
Mm-mm.
I think if Golden State makes a move at the trade deadline, the right move, sure. Phoenix, no. Heat, no. Hawks, no.
No.
Pistons, like this is the point where you're like, okay, Pistons have laid the ground floor. Now build from here. And then the Pacers are just, yeah. So I can agree with that. Dallas might be the only team with like a legit hope out of that group. So I can agree with that, Anthony. All right. I guess I will say any last minute things on this before we move on.
Mm, the Nuggets, I did want to say Russ and Jokic play well together.
Yeah.
But I also heard that Jokic wanted Russ there. Literally.
Yeah.
He's the reason why Russ is there. I said that's a little heartwarming knowing that Russell Westbrook's body of work is being appreciated by somebody like Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
I said that makes me get all in the
Yeah.
feels.
I mean, look.
It's good that they're teammates.
Yes. Because it looked like, with Lakers stuff and everything, a lot of people were really down on Russ. A lot of people were questioning if Russ could play in today's NBA. Like, what's his fit? Like, what's his role? And it looks like with Denver, they've kind of figured it out. You put him out there in lineups where he can kind of do his thing, slash to the rim. If he's feeling it on a night, he has that little post up where he likes to bank in off the angle.
Mm-hmm.
He's still, he'll still take his threes. He's not shy about it. But every once in a while, he catches a bit of a rhythm from out there, and he can.
He ain't no better than Michael Porter Jr. right now.
Yeah,
So I don't want to hear about Ruffing his threes and not about Michael Porter Jr. jacking up threes too.
yes, yeah, they're two very streaky shooters. But at least with Russ, when he's on the court, he's going to go 100 miles an hour every time.
Mm-hmm. He has a
Yeah,
home. Now, how long will he stay there?
yeah, that's gonna be the question for sure. But all right, let's go ahead, uh, jump off of this topic. We'll probably wait another couple of weeks or so, and we'll do, I guess, our third version of this, and we'll see if any teams make any big jumps. See if maybe another team can join Celtics, Thunder, and the Cavs. We'll see, or if that bottom tier continues to fill out a little bit more. We'll see. We'll see if there's more separation. The coaching carousel. So we all know about all the jobs that were available, and there was what, the Bears, the Jets, Saints, Jags, Raiders, the Patriots. Patriots filled theirs with Mike Vrabel, and then recently Dallas joined the carousel after waiting a week
Jerry.
because they didn't want Mike McCarthy to interview with the Bears, but then didn't negotiate a new contract with him to then announce a week later, we're moving on from Mike McCarthy. So Mike McCarthy can now interview for the Bears job. While the Cowboys,
And he did.
right, while the Cowboys are sitting there without really too many interviews scheduled because they're a week or so behind everybody else, to the point that they're now throwing out there that Dion could be part of their coaching cycle. So it's like, yeah, I don't know what the Cowboys got going on, but I guess your thoughts on the carousel. Maybe where do you see, like, maybe who do you think is the next spot to be filled? Like, who would you like to see certain spots? Like, yeah, what are your thoughts on everything? Or if you want to talk about the Cowboys' interest in Dion.
I will say a little bit about the Cowboys. I'm like, the fact that Jerry waited a week made us think that he was trending towards McCarthy was coming back. And then did this. He doesn't have a backup plan.
Right.
He's interviewed Kellen Moore and he's going to interview Robert Saleh. That's all I know for right now. It might be one more. But, Jerry, that job is not an attractive job because of Jerry.
Right.
He thinks it is, but he's delusional. The man is 83 years old. He's going to think what he thinks. And there is some cognitive slippage in there because you can't be just this backwards.
I think you and I have kind of shared this. Like Anthony says, nobody respect Dion if he leaves college from just 1 year in Colorado.
Oh yeah, if Deion Sanders does that, I promise you, Final Burn will just be a Deion Sanders segment that entire time.
Yeah.
And look, if he does that, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. It's such of a kick of a.
Right.
To elevate your sons if he does that. That's what it means to me. And yes, Jerry wants to hire a yes man. But so, do you think Aaron Glenn is going to want to be a yes man? What about Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson, maybe, because he's introverted. I've heard he's introverted.
But if you're Ben Johnson and you're leaving Detroit where you had Jared Goff and a system that fit him, would you be enticed to go coach Dak Prescott? Even though Dak Prescott the last couple of years can't stay healthy, and then you're dealing with Cooper Rush or Trey Lance. You have CeeDee Lamb. and then questionable pieces still there? Or do you want Chicago? You got Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, you got Cole Kmet, you have DJ Moore, or the Raiders, where you got Brock Bowers, at least you got that. You have a high draft pick to go get a quarterback, so if there's one in the college ranks that you really like, you can go get one of them.
Hmm.
So it's yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know who would take the Cowboys job at this point because, like you said, most people have
Exactly.
interviewed other places already. I think the star itself probably has some allure to certain people because of the history and everything with the Cowboys. But yeah, if you take a step back and actually look at the situation there, like what's drawing you there? Maybe Dak, but then you got to deal with Jerry. You got to deal with Jerry's ego. You got to deal with Jerry radio show and all this kind of stuff where he's constantly in front of a microphone just talking.
It's not just Jerry you got to deal with. You got to deal with Michael.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, yeah, that's true, Micah. But I feel like most coaches, because of,
And if I'm a
I feel like most
coach,
coaches, because of talent,
I'm
will do
not
it.
touching that
True. That's good.
because Jerry's not going to tell Micah to cut that crap out.
No.
He
Yeah.
likes it.
Yeah.
But Micah need to cut that crap out because it's detrimental to the locker room. And we know it's detrimental to the
Mm-hmm.
locker room. Because there's been little leaks here and there that shows that whether it's getting out, people think he's annoying.
That's a good point, Anthony. Well, I know Lance is a free agent. Yeah, Cooper Rush might be one too. That's a good point. Knowing Jerry, he might bring.
That job is not attractive. And if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm either taking the Bears job
Would Ben Johnson have interest in the Jags job?
because at least they have a quarterback.
Right.
But do I want that in my division? Absolutely not. Take the Bears
Right.
job. And the fact of the matter is, the Jags job is not an attractive job either.
No. I mean, well, yeah. Like if you're Ben Johnson, you love offense. So you have Trevor Lawrence. You got Tank Bigsby. I mean, maybe he can do something with Travis Etienne, whose stock just seems to be falling with each year. The wide receiver group isn't great. Yeah, yeah. Because I guess are we
The offensive
assuming Ben
line.
Johnson's probably the next one to pick his spot? Well, you still got to wait for them to lose in the playoffs, but
Mm-hmm. Unless, because I feel like these teams are going to wait for Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson to pick where they want to go.
I think Aaron Glenn's going to New York. I think he's the Jets coach. He played there. I think that's his dream job.
I feel like that's going to be entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you look at the AFC East, like you next year could have Vrabel in New England, you could have Aaron Glenn with the Jets. You still have, I guess, McDaniel with the Dolphins and McDermott with the Bills. Interesting coaching division. McDaniel probably automatically jumps down to maybe the worst in the division.
Yeah, because when he don't have Tua, he can't
Right.
coach.
But a couple of years ago, McDaniel was seen as the best coach in the division, or at least potential. So, yeah, I think Aaron Glenn to the Jets probably. Well, Anthony does okay. The Saints' job is in play as well for Glenn. If
I wouldn't want that job.
yeah, the cap situation makes you not want it, but I would also hope that management down there, when they bring somebody in because of that cap situation, that should force you to be patient for the next like 3 years until you get out from under that mess. See, that would be a situation where Glenn gets a job. If it's not the Jets, he might maybe this. I don't know. You look at the Saints, like the NFC South isn't like some division that's completely out of reach because we've seen the Bucks and the Falcons play somewhat around 500 football. So it's not like you're needing to win 12, 13 games to win that division. You put it together and you can get to 9, 10 wins, you're in play.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Aaron Glenn could do some with the defensive pieces that are still there. Obviously, he'd have to hire the right offensive coordinator to try to fix whatever the offense is. And, Carr's probably gone. Rattler has shown he's not the guy. So you got to get a quarterback down there. But when you're strapped with the cap, it probably has to be a young guy and kind of like an aging vet that's fine taking short money. So it may not be attractive, but it could be a job that you might have a little bit of security while you still try to clean up your cap situation. I kind of had Flores going to the Saints because I don't know. I have a feeling Glenn's going to be the Jets coach.
Yeah, I have Flores going to the Saints. So I'm like, me and you are
Yeah.
right there. I don't know why Arthur Smith is getting head coaching interviews. Considering the last month and a
Mm-hmm.
half, absolutely not. He should have killed
Yeah.
that. And the fact that it took so long for him to change philosophies in that playoff game that they lost by 2 touchdowns
Mm-hmm.
should have been a further indictment.
Yeah.
So he's out of it for me, but somebody like the Jaguars is gonna hire him. That got the Jaguars wrote all over it.
Yeah, because Arthur Smith does have ties to the division, which the Jags may. Well, I don't know because the Jags. I think a lot of people think that Liam Cohen's going to go there, the Bucks guy. So if I'm looking at it, I could get Arthur Smith, who we know what he is, an offensive coordinator, been around for a while. You look at the Steelers' offense and what it became, or you have Cohen, who's with the Bucks, where Baker Mayfield had a really good statistical year, with a bit of a downfall with the amount of interceptions, but the yards, the touchdowns, everything were up there for him. If it came down to those two, I'd probably take my chance with Cohen because I already know what Arthur Smith is like as a head coach.
Yeah, but that's the philosophy of a well run team. The Jaguars are not well run. Don't
Yeah,
forget that.
true. Yeah,
Again, the Saints I have getting Brian Flores. Now, Todd Monken is interesting because I'm hearing his name a lot.
yes.
I'm like, he hasn't done enough.
You're right. I mean, look, technically he has NFL experience because I think he was in the NFL first, went to Georgia, came back. Fine. I think my question would be like you have Lamar and you have Derrick Henry. So obviously the rushing attack looks really good. And he's also the coordinator. If he's now the head coach in whatever place, will he be able to implement his system, get the right pieces to
Mm-hmm.
run it? I guess would be a question. But you know how this league is. Like they look at the Ravens, people love Lamar, they love Derrick Henry. They go, oh, Todd Monken's running the system. Yeah, he'll probably get interviews. I kind of would be shocked if he got a job this cycle. But I think him getting his name out there might lead to him getting a job maybe next year.
I have a feeling Vance Joseph is going to be the next coach of the Raiders.
That's a good name. Because, look, the Broncos' defense is really good. He was running it. Hmm. I guess I hadn't thought about that one, but I wouldn't hate it. Okay. I can't.
But back to
Yes.
Dallas. Back
Yeah.
to Dallas. Hold on. Because they interviewed Kellen Moore and he was in the building 2 seasons
Yes.
ago. Three, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, three. And you let Mike McCarthy lie to your face and play on your top to the point where you had to get rid of this man, and now you're bringing him back.
Yes. I, I couldn't think of who. I mean, look, maybe the Cowboys' job is literally Kellen Moore if Dion doesn't want it. That might be where Jerry's head's at. And I think an interesting name will be Marcus Freeman. Freeman's gonna play into some one of these jobs, whether he gets it or not. But I think teams are gonna try to get him in the door at least. Now it'll be up to Notre Dame, and whether or not Freeman actually wants to go to the NFL right now. But yeah, I think he'll be a name that might pop up once the college football season ends on Monday night.
Who do you think is going to be the coach of the? Well, we already did the Bears. We already did the Bears. Saints, Jaguars,
But the Bears is interesting
Cowboys.
because if Mike McCarthy interviewed for the job, the Bears wanted to interview him. Is he the leading guy? But
Mm-hmm.
if Ben Johnson wants it, and Pete Carroll put his name out there saying he wanted it. 3 offers.
They're not going to give it to Pete Carroll.
I mean, if they get left with no Ben Johnson or no Mike, let's say Mike McCarthy got the Raiders job, and Ben Johnson took the Jags job, and you're the Bears, and you're like, well, Pete Carroll wants this job. Why not try it? I I don't know, because I found it interesting that Pete Carroll, we hadn't heard from him in a little bit, and he just came and was like, I would take the Bears job. So if the desire's there, I guess you probably would rather have a guy who seriously wants your job, because Pete Carroll probably looks at Caleb Williams and goes, I could probably come up with something to help him be successful.
Pete Carroll cannot sit still to save his life.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the dude's like, what, 76, and he has the energy of a 40-year-old.
Yes,
Like, hey, give him all the,
riding around on scooters.
whatever he's doing, hey, keep it going. I mean, I think we talked about every job that's out there. I doubt there's any more surprise jobs that open. I think what the Cowboys did, that's probably the end of the openings for this round.
Only the Cowboys do outlier stuff.
Yeah.
Fire your coach, like part ways with your coach a week after everybody else.
Yes. Yeah. Only Jerry would know why he waited the week. I don't get it. Maybe in that week's time he was kind of gauging Dion on his interest.
At the same time, when you play on people's top, and then all of a sudden they were like, "I'm not going to sit here and let you play with me," you can't get mad at them. And I'm actually kind of glad Mike McCarthy stood his ground, because I'm hearing that it was about length of the contract. Jerry wanted something short and sweet, and Mike McCarthy wants something long term. One, because he's getting ready to, if you're Dallas, if we're going to be completely honest, dealing with Dak, you're getting ready to have to be in the quarterback market shortly.
Yes.
Let's be real. So he's going to want a chance to pick his own quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, offensive, there's a lot of issues in Dallas. Quarterback, running back room isn't great. The wide receiver group isn't great.
He wants time to rebuild, to help rebuild this roster and have a valuable chance, a fighting chance. Jerry doesn't want to give him 5 years.
Yeah.
He want to give him 2, which is unrealistic. Stood his ground and stopped letting Jerry play on his top.
Yeah.
Like, because you could have did this in November, you could have did this in September. If you were just going to sit here and let my contract run out, why'd you even put up the speculation last year that you were bringing me back?
Yep. Good point. Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what the next job is that gets filled. I will just say really quickly. Oh, go ahead. Yes,
GM.
because your team
I
did
will
make
say
some
I
news.
do like that my Titans hired the dude from Kansas City. If you can't beat him, join him. Shoot.
Yeah.
I felt the same way with
Hmm.
Callahan. And Callahan had the I'll go into that later. But I see potential in
Hmm.
Callahan. And the dude, his name is I can't pronounce his last name. It's one of those hard sounding ones, but Mr. B. We'll just
That
call him
works.
Mr. B.
It's like,
He had a direct hand in drafting Patrick Mahomes. I trust him.
okay. Yeah.
I trust
Yeah.
him.
If you look at the way the Chiefs are drafted, like it's not a bad organization to go steal somebody from.
Yeah. And we got the number one pick, so we'll see.
So I guess saying Kellen Moore goes to Cowboys would be funny.
And Kellen Moore would definitely be a yes man that Jerry needs or wants.
Jason Garrett 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jerry loved him some Jason Garrett.
Gave him how many years? 8?
Way too many.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, so we'll see. I guess where the next landing. I assume by the time we come back next week, some job will be filled. My guess, Glenn to the Jets. No, actually, I can't do that because I think my predictions. I have the Lions making the Super Bowl, so they technically would have to wait a couple more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe no. I mean, the Jags want Ben Johnson. No, we'll say the Jags. I'll say the Jags job is the next one to fill. All right.
Now, if the next coach of the Jags, they have got to make it clear that Trent Baalke is the problem.
Yeah.
He can't keep getting away with this crap.
Yeah.
Actually, let him keep getting away with it. Because he's ruining that team.
Yeah.
So,
They chose him. I mean, most people assumed he and Peterson probably going to be gone together. The fact that he somehow kept his job with the disaster that had been.
he's Shad Khan's yes man.
Well, I mean, Shad Khan, like, find somebody else. I mean, like, but hey.
Eventually, Shad Khan's going to get tired of that. Just like Arthur Blank got tired of Thomas
Mm-hmm.
Dimitrov.
Yeah. But like I said,
It took a long time,
yeah.
though.
But also, like you said, the Jags aren't the best run organization, so this would be the kind of stuff that they do. But all right, we will keep it moving. Like I said, we will obviously be monitoring the carousel as it keeps going. Let's see what does it say. Being coach of the Jags gets you free tickets to AEW. Look, okay. Quick side note here.
And they're building a new stadium. For what?
Well, I mean, it's Jacksonville. Like the area's not that attractive. Look, if you're from Jacksonville, I'm not crapping on the area. It was just that when you think of Florida, you don't think Jacksonville. You think Miami, you think Orlando. Even with colleges, you got like Tallahassee. Like Jacksonville is kind of in the middle of nowhere in terms of Florida areas. So you got to do something.
It's literally a retirement town.
Kind of a weird decision to put a football team there then, but this is where Jacksonville is right now. But yeah, I mean, look, the whole AEW stuff. Is it any surprise that AEW kind of lost its luster? And you have a con running it. Like, come on, people. Should have seen it coming. Once again, I'm not gonna rag on AEW if you're a fan, but yeah. All right, the playoffs. let's get to these games that because we talked about the wild card games except for Rams Vikings because I believe that game was playing while we were on last. So I guess
We didn't miss much.
exactly like the Vikings, the Cinderella slipper, fell off. Sam Darnold had a terrible game.
The offensive line forgot how to
Yeah.
block. But if you ask me, if you ask certain types of people, it's experience.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, Justin Jefferson after the game said can't put it all on Sam Darnold, which is absolutely correct. So look, Darnold and the Vikings have a big decision to make. JJ McCarthy, they drafted. Clearly, they want him to be the starter, but you can't just overlook the season that you just had with Sam Darnold. And could you possibly think that if you were in the same position again next year, he would play better in the playoffs? That's something that they'll have to decide. But yes, this loss is not all Sam Darnold. So you shouldn't just trash his whole season and just look at what he did in this playoff game. Because, I mean, you had the stat, like we were talking before, what was it 32 out of 40 dropbacks? He was pressured. Not a lot of quarterbacks are going to have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of success when you're getting pressured that many times.
Experience.
Right. Okay, Anthony says, I see one upset game this weekend. I wonder which one that is, Commanders fan. But I mean, look, maybe not tell much your Commanders, Anthony, and you're looking at another game. We'll find out. I'm sure you're messaging right now. But we're into the divisional round. So we have the final four in the East. I mean, not the East, the AFC final four in the NFC, vying for conference championships Sunday. There's also a pretty fun sports day on the calendar. But I guess we'll start. Actually, we'll do them in the order that they're going to be played. So first game will be Chiefs Texans. Okay, so Anthony proved me wrong. He was not talking about his Commanders. He has the Rams beating the Eagles. Okay, all right.
Anthony's not that delusional.
I mean, I was just testing the water. Just testing the water. Um, so Chiefs Texans. The Chiefs are a pretty heavy favorite in this one. So I guess when you look at this matchup, what chance do you give the Texans in upsetting the Chiefs? Okay, so not that high, not really much of a chance.
Because they're too mistake
Mm-hmm.
prone right now. And the Chiefs are the last team that you want to be undisciplined and keep making
Yes.
self-inflicted mistakes.
Yeah.
It's not Justin Herbert add who's gonna make even more
Mm-hmm.
mistakes to help you out.
Right.
This is Patrick Mahomes and they're
Mm-hmm.
rested.
And look, last year this is when Travis Kelsey turned it on when the playoffs started.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the offensive line will figure out how to block
Yeah.
again. The Chiefs have a knack to turn it on at the hit of a
Mm-hmm.
like this
Yeah. Yep.
in the playoffs. I I think I do think the Texas defense can give Patrick Mahomes some difficulties.
Yes, because I was about to say the Texans defense is going to have to repeat what they did against the Chargers. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, can't throw the interceptions and all that he did. Oh, Jory, your picture went blank.
Somebody was calling me.
Oh, okay. It's all good. Um, yeah, so it's just like if Will Anderson can have the impact that he had, that would give Houston a chance. You're just going to need CJ Stroud to kind of play up to his ability, and he has to play mistake-free football. Like that's their way into beating Kansas City. So I guess with all that, who do you have winning the game?
The Chiefs,
Okay.
but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. If the Houston offense can keep up,
Hmm. I kind of feel that way too. I have like a suspicion that this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. To the point like fourth quarter, like the game's going to be in the balance. It'll just be that I think Mahomes, Kelsey will put together like a long sustaining drive that closes the door. But I think Houston will have a good showing, and probably because of the defense. But I agree. I would have the Chiefs winning as well.
I bet the refs say do something stupid too.
I mean, let's hope. Let's hope not, because I got so tired of the 18 weeks of that. Every time they won, it'd be like, look at this play. The refs are cheating for them. It's just like the amount of times they allowed teams the opportunity to beat them and then they made their own mistakes. I can't look at refs at that point.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on. So later that night would be the Lions versus Anthony's Commanders. The Lions are a even bigger favorite in this one than the Chiefs are in their match against the Texans. So looking at this from the Commanders, what percentage chance do you give the Commanders for the upset here? Okay. Yeah. I mean, the Commanders are playing with house money, which can either work in your favor and be the most dangerous thing, or can create complacency and then you're just throwing caution to the wind and making mistake after mistake.
Yeah, think
Obviously,
about what Detroit did last year.
yeah,
Who thought they was going to go to the NFC Championship game? Well, a couple of people did because they turned it on.
yeah,
But the
true.
year that they messed around and made the playoffs,
Hmm.
Green Bay, house money.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the only way that they win this game is if they play loose.
yes, but they also can't because what we've seen recently is Dan Quinn becoming extra aggressive on fourth downs, which I
Yeah,
don't have a
don't
problem
do
with,
nothing.
but don't go overboard with it where like the first drive it's like 4th and 8, you're on like your own 40 and you're just like let's just go for it. Like allow the game to kind of create the flow and then start going for fourth down on, certain situations. Because the last thing you want to do is allow the Lions team to get rolling because we've seen weeks this year when they open the floodgates scoring wise, they are relentless. And I wouldn't want to see the Commanders get like blown out here because I think they've had a really good season. I think Jaden Daniels has shown he's a good young quarterback. I think Dan Quinn's had some kind of retribution from his Falcons tenure. He seems like a better coach now, and they kind of gave Daniels a lot of the tools to be successful with Kingsbury. And defensively, they got better over the course of the year. So there's optimism going into next year. So I guess I'm assuming you have the Lions winning this one.
Yeah, but I still like the fact that if any game was going to be a blowout, I think it's going to be this one or the Rams game.
Okay, I agree. Like I could see this one be a blowout or some shootout because I could see this one being the highest scoring game of the weekend if certain things kind of align themselves. But I agree, it could be a very tough day for the Commanders where the Lions get ultra aggressive, just keep putting the foot down and just run it up. Yeah, I could see that. But I guess we both have the Lions in this one. All right, next up. So that's the Saturday slate. First game of Sunday would be the Eagles and the Rams. As Anthony put, that's his upset for the week. The Eagles are about a touchdown favorite. The Eagles had a I guess okay showing against the Packers. I think defensively they looked really good. Offensively, eh.
Eh.
So now they're going up against a Rams team that offensively can put a lot of pressure on you defensively. And look, maybe it was because of it being Sam Darnold or whatever. That defense did show a lot. Like Jared Verse and those guys up front with their ability to put pressure. If they could do that to Jalen Hurts, I think this matchup is very interesting. Um, I would say what chance do you give the Rams, but I think this one is obviously a little bit closer than Lions, Commanders, or Chiefs, Texans.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Rams are going to pull the upset, what would be the key for them?
No,
Okay.
push Philly to a 2 touchdown lead. Frustrate the out of AJ Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make them implode. That's the key. If you can make them explode on the sideline, you can upset them. If you can shut down the pass game and shut down the run game, I mean, yeah, Rams defensive line it's a little streaky, but
Mm-hmm.
if they can shut down Jalen Hurts, and I know I said last week that their corners were shaky, but I didn't know that they were gonna force they. I know I said last week that the Rams corners were shaky.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I also didn't see that they were gonna hold the Minnesota Vikings receivers to what they did. Almost nobody was getting separation
Yeah.
adequately.
Yeah. Which means the
So,
guys in front help that.
mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess with all that, who do you have winning this one?
The Eagles by 3.
Okay. All right. Um, I actually thought this one might have been the one we would differ on because I've gone back and forth with this one. I think if you look at it on paper, the Eagles are the better team top to bottom. But I do like what you said about the Rams have to frustrate the Eagles. Because look, for the Eagles and those fans, they still remember what happened last year with the Bucks. So if this game gets out of hand and we're into the midway through the third quarter, Rams have like a 10-point lead and like the Eagles going a 3-and-out, those fans will start booing probably. And once you get the fans going, then you start seeing those frustrations from some of these guys like AJ Brown or so. And once you get that, then you got your chance. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hold out that I think the Eagles get it done here. I feel like Saquon should factor you know into this win for the Eagles. Obviously, the Rams know that because the last time they met them, Barkley had a big day. So if you're the Rams, you're probably keying in on him. And then maybe that opens it up for Jalen Hurts to try to beat them in the passing game and scrambling around a little bit. I feel like I want to see kind of more from Jalen Hurts being aggressive with scrambling and all that as well. But I'll take the Eagles here. All right. Final game of divisional round, Bills Ravens. I remember the last time I looked at this, the Ravens were a 1-point favorite. They're now a point and a half favorite. So the Vegas thinks Ravens are a little bit more of a favorite now. They're on the road, going up to Orchard Park. They met earlier in the season. The Ravens handled business. They, blew out the Bills, of course, which a lot of people are looking at what happened there with this one. So I guess tell me why this game will be different than the game that happened earlier in the regular season.
The amount of defensive pieces
Mm-hmm.
that the really um the amount of defensive pieces that the Bills were missing
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the year is might play a part.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills defense can be very suffocating.
True.
I'm a little worried about that Ravens secondary still
Mm-hmm.
because they did get burnt versus Pittsburgh. They did.
Yeah, in the second half, yeah, a couple times, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not necessarily too sold on that.
Hmm.
And they're going to Buffalo. The Ravens are going to Buffalo. Orchard Park is a notoriously hard place to play. And it's going to be 8 degrees, and you can bet you're behind it's going to be snow.
Right. And if that does happen, it now puts focus on the running games, where Derrick Henry, James Cook will have to be bigger deals if the weather is that bad.
Hmm.
Also, I guess if it's a bad weather game, who do you trust more to make throws, Lamar or Josh Allen? Actually, I kind of want to see what is the actual weather report currently, because they should have that. I think that would be interesting if it is kind of a snowy, messy kind of game. Which for me, if it's playoff football, I will always take a snow game any day. Let's see here. I guess while I'm looking that up, I guess give me your pick and why.
Bills
Why?
by 3.
Okay.
Feel like every time the lights shine the brightest, the Ravens get in their own way.
Okay.
This is literally when the lights shine the brightest.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I found it, so I'm looking to see because what time's that game? Six
And
thirty.
I feel like Harbaugh and Munkin are going to get cute. Just a
Mm-hmm.
feeling. Because they always, Harbaugh always gets all cute in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because when I've thought about this game, I think about the Chiefs game last year, the AFC title game, where it seemed like they wanted to prove a point with their game plan. So why would the same staff not do the same thing when we spent 18 weeks debating Josh Allen or Lamar as MVP? Why wouldn't they take this opportunity to try to turn it over to Lamar to win them the game? Even though MVP is a regular season award, so this game should not factor in any way into the MVP voting.
It will.
But yes, but I think like for the Ravens, going to be like, if we go out there, beat them a second time, then all these people need to stop talking about how valuable Josh Allen is. And looking at the weather, kickoff 6:30. Looks like by 8 p.m. you're looking at snow. That's probably the second half of the game,
Hmm.
and it's going to snow basically the rest of the night. So, like, this is a game that we might, go into halftime. It might be like a 13-10 type of game, and then the second half becomes maybe like the next team to get a score wins or something like that, depending on how heavy the snow is, obviously. But yeah, that would be my fear if I were a Ravens fan, which obviously you guys know I'm not, is that they're going to go into this, they're going to completely neglect Derrick Henry when obviously he's going to have to be a big part of this. And you're going to see a game plan where Lamar is trying to throw it 40, 45 times. The only time they want to run is like scramble drill and Lamar's taking off. I think if they do that, yes, they lose this one. If Derrick Henry is as dominant as we've seen and he's rushing for like 175, 200 yards, I would expect the Ravens to win the game. But I'm taking the Bills as well. I think this is where we've seen the continued growth of Josh Allen. We saw last week there were throws he would have made previous years. He didn't. He held on to it, took the dump down pass, or even down in the red zone, he took that sack when he wanted the penalty in the back of the end zone. But earlier, Josh Allen would have fired that in there anyway. So the
Hmm.
maturation is there, and I think for him, because this would be my worry for the Bills fans, he goes into this matchup and goes, I need to beat Baltimore for my resume, for whatever. And we see him put too much pressure on himself. And that's when he gets a little high on throws or stuff like that. So if he plays within himself, I think the Bills are fine. So I agree with you. I'm gonna take the Bills as well, which means we
Beat
agree on
them,
every game. Okay. All right. Hmm?
especially the secondary and the linebackers. If you can frustrate them,
Yeah. Yes.
you can
That.
win the game off of penalties by yourself. By yourself.
Hmm. Right. And I think that's where Josh Allen will have to use some restraint. Like use James Cook, use is it what, Taron Johnson out of the backfield, get
Hmm.
Roquan Smith and those linebackers into space, create yardage that way. You know, use double action on Marlon Humphrey or whatever. I'd say don't test Kyle Hamilton too much. Everybody else, fair game. Doesn't mean you can't test, Hamilton, but it's just like you limit it because he's the one in the secondary. And we talked about it all season. He's the one in the secondary that we trust. Everybody else, go after him, especially Humphrey. Humphrey's a very aggressive corner. So when he feels beat, that's when he starts grabbing. So like that's what Josh Allen needs to, and scramble too. Don't allow Lamar to be the only quarterback running in this game.
Hmm.
All right, so that means we both have, I guess, a setup of Chiefs Bills next week, and then Lions Eagles. So we both have 1-2 matchups for Championship Sunday. But all right, we'll see how our picks do. And just to keep you all updated, last week you went 4-2 with your picks because the only ones you missed on were Steelers over the Ravens and Chargers over the Texans. Chargers we know laid, yeah, poop bed. Steelers,
Herbert.
yes, but you nailed Eagles over the Packers, Commanders over the Bucks, Rams over the Vikings, Bills over the Broncos. I went 3-3 last week because I missed the Vikings over the Rams. What's going on, Gene?
What's up?
See, jumping in the chat here. Um, yeah, I missed the Vikings over the Rams. I missed the Steelers over the Ravens and Chargers over the Texans because, as you said, Herbert happened. Like, that game was so frustrating to watch. So, our record, which once again, at this point, I'm conceding to you, you've won this one. You have a 5-game lead. I would literally have to get every game right, and you'd have to get everyone wrong at this point. I'm just trying to finish the season over 500, and then wait till next year. But yeah, so I guess just to recap our picks for this weekend, we both have the Chiefs. Actually, I should go back to the bracket really quickly. Yeah, we both have the Chiefs over the Texans. We both have the Lions over the Commanders. We both have the Eagles over the Rams, and we both have the Bills over the Ravens. So I can't gain on you in any of the games either. But like I said, I just want to finish over 500. Yeah. So look, make sure you guys, you know, keep up with us on, was it WordPress for our blog? We also have Tumblr. Obviously, like this stream. Also, follow, subscribe to Integrity Sports Network. Notified every time we go live. All that good stuff. I'm only getting that out of the way because we do have our final segment coming up, which I know Jory's ready for. And if this is your first time tuning in, we have Final Burn coming up, which I have to get the graphic for really quickly. So let me drop that out of here. It is here. Hold on. Basically setting it up. Final Burn is our kind of last chance to get something off of our chest that, somebody's frustrated us over the course of the week. As Gene makes a plea, he needs some graphics
Oh
from you.
yeah, hit me in my DM. I got you.
There you go. So I guess, Gene, to go to that point, this is another graphic that she made for our segment, which I'll share it now. Here we go. It's coming up. Hold on a second. There we go. Final burn. So, Jory, just like last time, I gave you the honors of going first. The floor is yours.
Aaron Rodgers. How delusional. Thank you. How much ayahuasca are you drinking or smoking or inhaling or ingesting to make you think that the head coach or GM, whoever it is going to want you back after everything that you put the Jets through? I don't even think it's the head coach and GM's choice at this point. It's Woody's choice. And Woody wanted to bench you after he fired Salah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sick and tired of his crap. Like every week, it's a new asinine, delusional comment coming from Aaron Rodgers. Go back into the darkness. Be quiet. I get so sick of that because I'm like, all season, you've had nothing but tone deaf, manipulative, delusional, asinine statements. And we can't even get into the off season without you running your mouth with the
Mm-hmm.
same stuff. Give the general public a break from such stupidity. Give us a break. We get tired of it. That is tiring. Every week you got something stupid to say. You don't get tired of that. It needs to hurry up. And it needs to hurry up. Mr. Egypt. And the next one, cause I look, y'all know I watch basketball, I watch football, I like to watch highlights to analyze, I like to learn things. And when I comment on things, I try to comment in a way that explains what I'm saying, but kind of I want to try to paint a picture.
Mm-hmm.
It is one specific phrase that pisses me off so bad that this happened Monday. It's Friday. I have not let this go. Period. And it watch the tape. I'm one of the last people that need to be told watch the tape. I watch tape to go to sleep. What are you? And the main idiots that say, "Oh, you need to watch the tape," and da 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 da, be the ones that don't watch jack squat. I'm commenting on an article and somebody comments, "Did you read?" Clearly, I read it. I wouldn't be commenting on it if I didn't. I just want to say, just because if we could have normalized, we can normalize having differing opinions and alternate points of view without saying watch the tape or insinuating that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. That is aggravating. Or that I don't watch football, or I don't watch basketball, or I don't watch this.
I mean, look, you are preaching to the choir here because I obviously know just for this show the preparation you put in. I mean, everybody who watches hears the papers rustling. Like you go through, watch highlights and all that, write down notes and everything. Yes, and obviously the backstory. I know the person you're talking about, and yeah, it's wild when people like that are the ones who throw that line out there because you have conversations with them, and you can tell they pay attention to their teams, if that, and everything else is just blurry. So even with their takes, it's very Homer based, or it's just down like the same one lane road. So yeah, I completely get where you're coming from. Like it's
Right,
crazy.
somebody could say, and it was about the Vikings Rams game. I'm not even gonna sit here and play. I broke down why Sam Darnold was trash.
Mm-hmm.
All the reasons why Sam Darnold was trash. Cam Robinson forgot how to block. He forgot he was an offensive lineman and he thought he was a turnstile. Um The receivers couldn't get separations. Yes. Yes.
I
Mr.
mean, I
Watch
probably
the
should have
tape
put it on the
himself.
screen, call him out like that, but yeah.
Like, I explained everything from the offensive line forgetting how to block as a collective,
Hmm.
Sam running into the pocket instead of stepping up into the pocket. The running game wasn't there. I explained all of that.
Hmm.
It was experience and watch the tape. You go watch the tape. Like,
Yeah. Yes.
the same type of people who ask for predictions and then want to argue.
Hmm. Yes. But look.
And then I mentioned the fact that Sam Darnold has not been playing well for the past 3 weeks.
Hmm.
That went un that went unresponded to.
Yeah. Which I mean, you predicted the game correctly, which means you clearly did your homework.
That's the Oh, Austin Reeves is a star apparently.
Yes. I mean, spoiler alert, my burn kind of references the same person, but yeah. And we didn't plan this. Like we didn't talk about our burns or anything like that. But I mean, was that your last one?
Yes.
Okay. For me, it surrounds kind of the same person, but the talk about the NBA, because I know Adam Silver was on with Colin Cowherd, and Colin Cowherd was talking about how need to move the 3 point line back, you need to eliminate the corner three, and all this stuff. Is the game today as enjoyable as it was in the 90s or the 80s? Maybe not. But I think we're just simplifying it by saying too many threes. Because with the talent level of a lot of these players, shooting the three, yes, might be a little bit easier. But if I'm watching the Celtics and they have ball movement, or the Warriors and there's ball movement that leads to an open three, I can't sit there if they miss it and turn around and be like, oh, this is why the game is so bad. But if I watch the Washington Wizards and Jordan Poole dribbles for 20 seconds and just jacks up a three, yeah, in both cases, both threes were missed, but one came off of an offensive set, the other one, nothing.
Was just running around in cardio.
Right. So I think Adam Silver gave a good answer to it where he was just like, it would be easy to do that, but we kind of need more research and everything that goes into it. That's just a simple narrative that's kind of out there. Now, eliminating the corner three, I kind of wouldn't be opposed to that. That that one I could live with, but the other thing is, I think the NBA media and everything where they fall into this, and content creators are really bad about this. Some of the takes that are out there and that people just repeat and think like it's legit are crazy. I saw a TikTok where they were talking about like Muggsy Bogues and how, I mean, Gene, you might have seen it. 'Cause I know you be on TikTok and you are well in tune with a lot of this, the Chill Town, whatever the podcast that they're on. And he's like, haven't seen anybody like Muggsy Bogues. And somebody had the nerve on that podcast to go, yes, we have. His name is Julian Newman. Like
Julian freaking Newman.
the
Five
dude's
foot three. He ain't no bigger than me.
so it's just like
I might weigh a bit more than him.
right. But it's just like Julian Newman was a guy who during the pandemic when everybody's chilling in their house, became a star with social media and the clips and everything. But now you actually watch him play. He's playing at some random school, and you see what a 5'3" guy would look like. It's a struggle. Um, I will talk about this in a second because this is another thing that's getting me. But yeah, let me finish this point. It was just like the fact that like we'll have people who are streamers and content creators who use the social media clips, and a lot of them use like 2K as a reference to the league. I think that's crazy. I think the
Mentioning
biggest like
poppers.
right, yes, because that
Like,
was
what the
yeah.
hell is a popper? If I'm
Apparently
talking
Evan Mobley.
basketball, do
Apparently
not
Evan
bring
Mobley's
up
a
no
popper.
2K
People.
jargon.
Evan Mobley's a
Do not
popper.
bring up no 2K jargon if I'm talking to you about basketball. This is not video games.
Uh,
Leave that jargon for the lobby.
but it's just like the fact that that came into a conversation about the NBA. That's a problem. Like it's a video game. Like let's calm down, people. For me, the simple fix is physicality. That's it. Allow defenders to be. Obviously, you don't want them clotheslining guys driving to the hoop, but allow them to play defense. That fixes the league. That's it. Now, going with this, because this might be a good point. Gene
Mhm.
says they are missing a generational face of the league. They don't have it. The faces of the league are all international players who don't feed towards the American personality. John, Ant, and dare I say, Cheeseball Tatum need to step up and take it. Sure. Tatum, legit the corniest personality of all time. I doubt that because one, I'm gonna say it. LeBron's pretty corny. Like, let's be real. All those, remember the All Star games with the little fantasy drafts and he tried to be funny? He was corny. The Space Jam, I saw 2 minutes of it, corny. The commercial with Kevin Hart, corny. He might be the most corny. Tatum, Tatum is just in his skin. Like he's got Deuce, got his mom. Like that's it, and he plays basketball. I don't know what you want from him. That's who he is. I don't have a problem with that. Now, face of the league stuff, I blame the media for that too.
Yeah, because instead of turning Bronny into a damn shot show and mentioning my Lakers every goddamn second, um, can we mention what the Magic are doing? What about the Rockets? The Oklahoma City Thunder's press conference, not the press conference, their interviews are hilarious.
Yeah.
We be paying attention to that and how they play basketball. But no. It's JJ needs to do this. Braun needs to do this. The Lakers that. Um, the Knicks.
Yes. I mean, last year they tried to make Ant face of the league. He now all of a sudden Ant's like on the back burner. They wanted to make Jokic face of the league. Jokic has told y'all he does not want to be the face of the league. Jokic wants to play basketball, go home to his horses in the offseason. That's Jokic's year. Like, leave him alone. They want Luka to be the face of the league. Luka, I think, I, I think it's hard for Luka to be the face because he needs more probably playoff success and everything like that. So maybe it's just not his time yet. But it's like you said, Jory, we've spent 20 years just talking LeBron, and it was what last year or 2 years ago where they're talking about the league has this problem with the next face. Maybe we don't need a singular face. Have a group of them. I don't care. Like there's talent within the league. I mean, Gene called him corny because he said we did it, which I mean he was a big Kobe fan, so he whatever. Like I can't
Now
hold
that Kobe stuff that he be doing, that's corny.
I can't look. I can't help it. Like he's a big Kobe fan. He wears the armband and all this kind of stuff. That's what it is. I mean, Kobe copied MJ to the T. Do we call Kobe corny? No. Like I said, LeBron's way more cornier. Just saying that. But
The
I'm
man
reiterating
posts a
that.
picture with a book and it be on the first two pages, and then he might post the same picture and it's still on the first two pages.
Tell me how that's not cornier than anything Tatum's done.
Like he must read 2 words an hour.
Every finals entrance was him like getting his legs worked on with the same book either in his locker right there in the shot or holding it look so we could see the cover of it.
And don't get me started on the lip singing videos. Don't get me started on that, where you don't be knowing the lyrics half the time.
Right. We're gonna call Tatum the corniest. personality. Like let's slow down, slow down. So look, I don't know if Tatum necessarily wants to be the face of the league. I don't know. Well, there is that too, but
That
yeah.
is too. Yeah.
So if there's an image problem within the league, then look, let's figure it out. So if it's not Tatum, I think it could be like I think Ant has the personality to do it. It's just that well, one, the whole gesture stuff that he's getting fined for, he might have to tone that back a little bit.
That
But
man has been fined over $250,000
for gestures, like that's crazy to me.
in his language.
Yeah, I mean, Ja was on pace to be the face of the league, and then he couldn't stop fighting with people off the court and getting into all that stuff. So yes, is there
The answer would have we would have had an answer had he stopped eating freaking gumbo in New Orleans.
Zion would have would have been that guy, but like you said, he can't stay on the court. His game hasn't really evolved in any way, so there is a void, but it doesn't mean there isn't like talent out there in the league. So I'm gonna need the media people to pick somebody and just stick with it. If you want to be Ant, make it Ant. I don't care. I mean,
Wimby's gonna
I think
start
there are
making
people.
people pay more attention.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think there are people who have the personality to take that mantle on. Like I said, Ant. I actually think Jalen Brown has a personality to do it. It's just that he's not going to be seen as a big enough star to do it. Because like JB has like the mean streak in him on the court. He's got the pettiness off the court that I think can get people kind of whatever. But I don't think he has the talent to do it. I think SGA, but Geno said like SGA is another international player. Yes, Wemby would be a good choice, but do we actually know Wemby's personality? No.
He'll
So
develop
maybe
one.
Wemby's the guy. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I just said that Jalen Brown has the personality. I don't think he has the stardom to be it. And I'm gonna need people to step off the Tatum stuff. The man loves his mom and his son. That's it. I can't hate him for that. And he loved Kobe, like everybody else in the league did, especially when Kobe unfortunately, you know, lost his life. How many
But
times?
texting the man's phone and posting the messages.
Look, I'm not part of that generation. It's a different generation. Hey Mo, what's going on? League shouldn't worry about who's the face of the league. Just stop talking up the old guard all the time and shine a light. And Mo, absolutely, that's the same stance
Leave my
Murray
Lakers
and I have.
alone for a day. Leave them alone for a day.
Yes,
And
I
if
don't.
Charles Barkley and Shaq would leave JJ Redick the hell alone and do their jobs and commentate on the game,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't be getting so sensitive because JJ got snippy.
Yes, even though they continue to do it like every week, a highlight will be playing, and they're talking about something completely different than the video package. That doesn't help the game in any way.
But it's only when it's them two together. Because I watched Tuesday,
Right
Shaq
when
was on
Shaq's
his
not
best
around.
behavior.
Yeah, because Vince Carter doesn't do that. Vince Carter, you play a video, Vince Carter's breaking down what's going on, so Shaq has to fall in line. But once Charles starts with his stuff, Shaq goes, "Oh, that's what we doing today," and Shaq just joins in.
Back of the classroom energy.
Yes, yeah, they're the type that the
And
teacher has
Kenny
to be
is the
like,
one that is right by him, can't help and is trying not to get involved, but can't help to get involved because of his proximity.
"Yes, that's a great analogy." Like Shaq and Charles are the ones in the back of the class. The teacher's looking up like, "Do I have to split y'all?" And they're like, "No, we're good." Then 2 seconds later, they're back talking. Kenny's in front of them trying to do his work, but you see Kenny laughing, and you know Kenny's being distracted by them. That's perfect analogy for what goes on that show. Probably why it works though.
When they're
So
not being unnecessary.
yes, yeah, so yeah. Mo, definitely agree with you. Face of the league. don't care. Just elevate the young talent. Because look, I'm so tired of every time Sports Center first highlights like Lakers, first highlight is like LeBron hitting a three, and it's like, can you believe he's doing this at 40? Look, that storyline's gone. I don't care anymore. Like he broke the scoring record, people went crazy about it, even though Jordan still has the highest per game average, but neither here nor there. Like they did all that,
That's why Anthony Davis said it took him 7 more years to do it.
which I was so glad he said that, even though I know, he was always trying to be funny because he doesn't want to end up on LeBron's bad list because he might get traded. If you cross LeBron, you get traded. Like, but it was a great point because I saw all over social media. Look, he's done this and Jordan hasn't, and it's like, yeah, if Michael Jordan had 7 more years to do it, he could have, further extended the number out. Like, whatever. That's just the thing. Like, let the LeBron thing go. He's gonna retire. Steph's gonna retire. It was funny and true, yes. LeBron's gonna retire. Steph's gonna retire. KD's gonna retire. Let's stop acting like it's gonna be the end of basketball. The NBA will continue. There will still be highlights. Fans will still show up. The All-Star games, like the kids and all that, will still buy jerseys and stuff. Switch the narrative. And it can't be Bronny and Bryce either. Once
Oh
LeBron leaves.
God.
Like, let's
Leave
stop
Bronny
that
ass
before it
alone.
starts.
Leave him alone. He's becoming a sideshow.
Yes, but now, like with him as sideshow, now it's like, oh, now we're starting to pay more attention to Bryce, and it's like, no, that's not the point of the exercise. Wait for Bryce to enter the league and then do what you want. I don't need to hear about him now. No, we're not doing
No.
that. Like you said, talk about the Rockets, talk about the Thunder, talk about the Cavs, talk about the Magic. Like, there are teams out there that are having really good seasons that the average NBA fan
Talk
probably
about the
knows.
Pistons. Like,
Yes, the Pistons are an actual NBA team now. Talk about them. Average NBA fan probably couldn't tell you 3 players on the Pistons. Why? Because the media doesn't talk about them. Probably couldn't tell you 3 guys on the Rockets because the media doesn't talk about them. The Magic, they might know Paolo Banchero. They probably don't know anybody else because the media doesn't talk about them. That's where I put it solely at their feet. Yeah. That's Final Burn. Kind of, long winding road, but we're back here. Like I said, new segment we threw in to end our show where we kind of go off on people as Jory did with Aaron Rodgers, which anytime Aaron Rodgers opens his mouth, he might be eligible to be on Final Burn. Not gonna
him
lie.
and Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Every time.
See, Mo, I'm hoping not. Let's stop it. Let's not go there. Jeez.
That thing will chart just because of Lakers fans.
Yes.
Offer it.
Yeah. That's like, look, 2025, I didn't need to hear LiAngelo Ball. I thought him fading into the mist was the end of it. Then he has a song, and now he's whatever. So 2025, I feel like, you know what? We'll do the job if the NBA media won't. During the NBA season, like, we will talk. Also, Mo and Brett over on And One. I know, different network. I'm gonna shout them out because Mo's in here. Like, they talk NBA and they fill you in on those gaps you might have. So shout out to them. I feel like when we do our NBA talks, like, we will talk. Like, we talked to Cavs a little earlier about how they've jumped up into our contenders list because of their play. Like, we will highlight those teams that they won't. So that's what we'll say.
I hope the fans got some sense in the next time that All-Star voting thing come out.
Yes. I think, next week we should have the third return. We'll look at that because some of the voting on that is crazy. Let's hope that it's starting to normalize a little bit. So we will talk about that as well.
Ball.
Yeah. Well, because LaMelo is popular on social media, so that means he must be an all-star. Yeah. So I mean, that's all we have for this week. But like I said, next week we'll obviously be talking divisional round playoffs. What happened? Look, if the Ravens lose, next week's show might be a doozy. If they win, well, we'll probably be here to clip their Ravens fandom. So you tune in for that. We'll be getting you ready for a championship Sunday, which, as I said, is another great sports day. You get both the AFC and NFC championship on the same day. That's great. We will have we'll be talking to Unrivaled next week, the new women's league, which I caught a little bit of the first game before we came on here. It's 3-on-3. It's full court. It's like up and down action. I think it's a great idea. Look, if it keeps some of these women from like going over to Russia and stuff and kind of
It will.
yeah, and when they go over there, like we kind of lose track of them. Then they come back for the WNBA, and it's like, oh yeah, but now this keeps them in front of you during the off season. I think it's a great idea. So we'll talk Unrivaled next week. Uh, we'll talk, like I said, I think third return of the NBA All Star Game. And look, if Jimmy Butler gets moved by next week, we'll talk about him as well. He'll
I
probably also,
really just want Pat Riley to wait till the darkest hour to just send him to Washington,
but
Washington or Charlotte. No, send him to Brooklyn.
the problem is if Riley sends him somewhere that he doesn't want to be, he'll probably negotiate some buyout because that team won't necessarily want to deal with it, and then he'll be a free agent. He'll kind of go where he wants to go, and I feel like at
Yeah,
this point, I don't think Jimmy Butler has earned that. He should. So I feel like Riley should send him somewhere where they're kind of in contention, but they're basically just in the same position as the Heat, just a different locker room, and just watch him get frustrated there too. Like that's where I'm at with Jimmy Butler. And yeah, so if you guys are in the chat next week and there's anything you want us to talk about, feel free to drop us a line as well in the chat, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, appreciate all of you. I mean, Jory, anything you want to add before we get out of here?
mm, yeah. New episode of Joy Sports Story should be out tomorrow, and I will be having a comprehensive video on my Titans, breaking down the season.
Okay.
And I'll probably have an article or two up on WordPress by next week, so stay tuned for that.
Yes. And as I mentioned earlier, we are on Tumblr. We have WordPress. I believe it's in the description. So go check that out for our articles from the show. Like I said, Jory's working on a couple. I'm working on one as well. I mean, I did one about the NBA like last week, so you can check that out. And Jory's put up quite a few up there. So just another way to kind of interact with us while we're not live on here on Integrity Sports Network. And look, if you have, I guess, a suggestion for an article from one of us, feel free to drop a comment over there as well. We're happy to oblige. So yeah, I mean, you can find me over on my channel, Chomping at the Bit, or here on Integrity Sports Network. That's where you'll find me. So make sure you go check out Jory Sports Stories. Check me out, Chomping at the Bit. And until next week, we are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football. Also got college football national title game on Monday.
I'm not watching that.
Well, I mean, look. We didn't get top seeds. We got 7 versus 8. I'm only gonna watch it because I want to see after it how college football fans respond to the 12-team playoff. Because some of them are gonna hate that 7 versus 8, and it's not like 1 versus 2 in the national title game. For me, I don't care. Like I've loved the process of it. And
I'm
look,
just a bitter Bama fan. I'm not watching that.
and that's fair because you're a Bama fan. I'm a BC fan. BC is never going to be in it, so I can't really have those feelings towards it. Maybe Bill O'Brien one day gets BC into the playoff. I don't know, but yeah. So yeah,
Oh no 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 no! We're not gonna do that.
I mean, yeah. Well, maybe the interest next year will be Bill Belichick, North Carolina, can he get them in? Although a lot of people don't buy that he's actually going to coach in North Carolina, which I don't know why.
His 23-year-old girlfriend said that they were committed to the University of North Carolina.
I mean, she's in her element down there. College campus, like, might find her at a party or two. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so make sure you do all that. Follow, subscribe, all the good stuff. We'll be back next week. So see you all later. Good night. Enjoy the football.